Pedro Pinto è uno dei volti più noti del giornalismo sportivo internazionale, nonché personaggio politico molto influente nelle maggiori federazioni sportive. Nato a Lisbona il 28 gennaio 1975, dopo un inizio di carriera già promettente in patria, si è consacrato come anchorman e corrispondente della CNN International, presenziando ai maggiori eventi sportivi, tra cui il Mondiale del 2002. Dopo aver intervistato i più grandi dello sport, è diventato amministratore delegato delle comunicazioni della UEFA in Svizzera. I più attenti di voi, infatti, lo ricorderanno come presenza fissa dei sorteggi delle coppe europee a Nyon, mentre ora è CEO di un'agenzia di comunicazione sportiva, la Empower Sports, che cura l'immagine a livello internazionale di parecchi club, tra cui l'Udinese. In visita in Friuli per qualche giorno lo abbiamo intervistato nei nuovi studi televisivi di TV12. Ecco l'intervista integrale a cura di Stefano Giovanpietro.
Hello Pedro, Udinese is a brand that is growing in the world. How much is known Udinese outside Italy?
Look, we're talking about a club that has been in the Serie A for 29 consecutive seasons. So it is known as an established top quality team. The fact that it has had a lot of international players here shining in the Serie A has also helped. I mean, when I was growing up, you had Zico, and there have been many others. You know, Amoroso was fantastic, Alexis Sanchez was fantastic, Toto Di Natale was also a great ambassador for the club. So the fact they have also participated in European competitions has helped to grow the brand. So I would think it's fair to say that Udinese are very well known abroad, in all continents. In South America also, because recently there have been a lot of good players from that region. Recently in Argentina, obviously with De Paul, with Musso, with many other players who are shining there, Noen Perez now as well. So yes, Udinese is an established football brand outside of Italy.
And for Udinese, how much is important having a stadium like that one, like Udinese Arena, that is a British one, we can say?
You know very well that in Italy is not very common for the clubs to own their own stadiums and to have such modern stadiums. The stadium here is fantastic. I think along with the Allianz Arena, it's probably the best one I have been to in Italy. The atmosphere is also great, but the conditions are fantastic. And I think what the ownership has done very well here is that they're creating a stadium that is living 365 days a year, you know, with a fantastic auditorium, with a studio such as this for TV. I think there's really the conditions for Udinese to be at the top of the modern clubs, not only in Italy, but also in Europe. And the stadium is very much a part of that, also from a sustainability standpoint, how everything is done very responsibly to make sure that it's conscious for the environment.
You saw a lot of club channels around the world. What do you think about these new studies?
Well, you know, most of my career has been spent inside TV studios, yes. Working with CNN, working with BT Sport, with Sport TV, with 11. I've been in a lot of TV studios, and I've also been to a lot of TV studios from clubs. And I have to say, this is really impressive. Not only because of the quality of the material and the technology that's here, but also the space and the versatility of the different areas that you have here to present the news programs, the sports programs, the interviews, etc. I think it's high quality, and I know it's new, so it was great investment done to make sure that the image of Udinese as well is top notch.
Against Juventus has been the first match with a new sponsor. Io sono Friuli Venezia Giulia. It's a good thing having a partnership with a territorial body.
I think it's a great idea because it adds to the identity of the club and the region. I think if you go around the world and you mention Udine, the first thing people will think about is Udinese. And the fact that this club is now helping this region promote itself from a travel and leisure perspective, I think it's a win-win scenario for both. And I'm sure that they will have plenty of opportunities and activations to make sure that the region is promoted, because, you know, football is the top communications tool on the planet, and it reaches so many millions of people. So I think by having the sponsorship on the front of the shirt will give a lot of visibility, but then it's also about finding the activation opportunities to bring more people to the region and more people to the stadium.
You mentioned a lot of players, and what about the principal strength of Udinese, the scouting, the capacity to discover the talents?
It's been fantastic. The ability that the scouting department has had to look around the world to find the most talented players for 10, 20, 30 years now. I mean, it's not something that's been happening from one day to the next. And now there's a lot of competition. You know, Udinese, when they were doing it in the 80s and 90s, they were maybe one of the few who had this scouting network. And they were one of the pioneers in the scouting network. Now there's a lot of competition, there's a lot of technology. So the competition is higher, and the club has still been able to consistently find a talented young players. So I think they're definitely a reference around Europe, especially around the world as well, from a scouting perspective and being able to identify the top talent at an early age.
And about sustainability, Udinese reached goals very, very big, like the first place in Italy, the fourth place in the world, and is a lot of pride for our society.
I think across everything the ownership and the management is doing with sustainability, there's a plan. So it's not something which is being done without thinking of a strategy. And there clearly is a strategy to make this club as innovative as possible from a sustainability standpoint and from being responsible towards the planet standpoint. The fact that the stadium is so responsible in the energy that it uses, the carbon footprint is incredibly small. The fact that it has partnerships with companies like Blue Energy and others, the fact that it always invests with Macron to make sure that the jerseys are as sustainable as possible, these are all concrete examples of what the club is doing to make sure it is responsible, because we are living in quite critical times as far as the footprint we have towards the planet, and we need to reverse the path we're on for global warming and climate change, and everything helps, and it's important that football and clubs like Udinese are leading this initiative.
You are an excellent sports journalist, so I ask, the start against Juventus wasn't good, 3-0, but what kind of season can do the team of Mr. Sottil?
Look, it's still early, because obviously we're talking about analyzing one match. I think there were unnecessary mistakes made, and against a team like Juventus, you pay the price, you know, they punish you. And therefore it was hard to judge, because there was such an early goal, then the penalty, and you don't really know what the team could do. In the second half, obviously they improved a lot. Samardzic made a huge difference in midfield, and I felt the team was growing. So there's a few days left until the end of the market. Let's see who leaves, let's see who comes in, because you know this is always uncertain for every club.
Yes.
In Serie A and every club in Europe. And then we'll see what the team can do. I mean, it would be amazing if they could fight for a European place. I think that could be an objective. Last season, the team started very well and was in the European places in the first few months. Let's see if they can do that and then maintain, you know, a top 10, top 8 position would be fantastic. But there's definitely a lot of quality in the team. There's also a lot of youth in the team.
Yes.
And when you have young players, you need time for them to grow and reach their potential. So I think just because of one game against Juve, where mistakes were made, where they were punished, I think the fans should not feel discouraged. There's a long way to go. Look, I think there has been a huge phenomenon in football this summer, which is Saudi Arabia investing hundreds of millions of euros in players. As a football fan, I don't like this, because it is inflating the market in the prices of players, which means that there will be the need for every club to invest more to compete with Saudi Arabia. I think they're doing this with a strategy and they will continue to invest in the coming years. And if players continue to go, then I'm sure they will have a very strong league until 2030. Let's see what happens. But it's clearly inflating the market price of a lot of players, which, in my opinion, is not good for football.
Thank you, Pedro.
You're welcome.